Some people go to Cancun for spring break, some people go to Miami, some people, me, go to Westchester to do interviews for hockey tournaments for 6 days straight, and now being back at LaSalle feels like an out-of-body experience. All I can say is, shout out to the Worm Moon. Hello, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Aidan Sigzinski. Libby might be out working for March Madness, but I get to be here in her place covering all the great LaSalle sports that they have to offer. So tell me, who's the real winner here? You're watching LaSalle TV's Home for Explorer Athletics SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. I may have been down for the count with food poisoning last episode, but nothing like some recaps to get me going again. Don't worry, we have plenty of those coming up.
And later, hot takes are back and hotter than ever, unlike the weather we've been having lately.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Number 1, Vice President of Athletics Brian Baptiste announced on Monday that LaSalle men's basketball head coach Ashley Howard will not be returning to the program next season. In a statement, Baptiste said, quote, "I would like to thank Ash for the guidance he's provided to our student athletes over the last 4 years. Unfortunately, the performance on the court did not meet our expectations. The time is right for a change in leadership that will benefit our student athletes and the future of our program," end quote.
Number 2, track and field's Olabisi Adams was named NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week this week, following an outstanding performance at this weekend's Penn Challenge. Adams placed second in the long jump, where her mark of 5.79 meters currently leads the Atlantic 10. This distance also ties her personal best, which she set last year at the A10 Outdoor Track and Field Championships.
Number 3, during the 9th annual Day of Giving on March 22nd, LaSalle Athletics raised nearly $267,596 from 1,081 unique donors. Vice President of Athletics Brian Baptiste stated, quote, "Thank you to all of the Explorer community who made this day a historic day, not just for LaSalle Athletics and recreation, but also for the university as a whole. I'm excited about the things we have on the horizon and couldn't be more grateful for those who have supported our student athletes, not just on the Day of Giving, but throughout the year," end quote.
So, I mean, obviously Ashley Howard is the big story that people are going to be talking about. We're going to be going more in depth about that later. Olabisi Adams getting NovaCare Student Athlete of the Week after her performance at the Penn Challenge. Track and field starts their next outing today through the 26th. So it's great to see some field events, obviously getting some more attention. You know, we have Dennis Manier in the high jump. Ben Wolf also set some records in the men's long jump. So it's great to see with our track and field team that track stars get a lot of the love, but now we're seeing some of the field events get some love as well.
You know, for sure. It's definitely exciting to see on the field events going really well for us, but obviously there's been so much stuff off the field, not just the Ashley Howard getting fired, but the amount of money that was also raised on Day of Giving was also really awesome for just all the programs. I was just going through the list, looking at them, and it wasn't just our big programs like our men's and women's basketball. Rowing got a lot of money as well. Track and field also got money, so it was just great to see a lot of donors willing to give to all the different programs that we have here to offer.
Yeah, including LaSalle TV. We met our challenge for that, so that's great. And the university as a whole raised over $1 million on Day of Giving, so that's just really amazing to see how many different donors donated to the athletics programs and to all the university's different programs. So it's just really great to see that people really support LaSalle and that people are really passionate about the programs that we have to offer here. So just raising that much money is a really amazing thing to see here.
You know, for sure. But I think the biggest news by far is Ashley Howard getting fired. I don't think when I opened up my Google feed on Monday, I was not expecting to see an ESPN story about LaSalle, especially that story in particular. It was definitely something that was unexpected, but also kind of expected, considering the way that the season's gone and a couple of the previous seasons. But yeah, we're gonna, as you said, we'll get into it, but definitely something that is going to be an interesting story on campus for a while.
Yeah, definitely a lot to be talked about there. And that's it for top 3. Now let's see how our teams did in this week's recaps. The track and field team kicked off their outdoor season this past weekend at the Penn Challenge. On the men's side, grad student Luke Zarikowski, junior Tayanga Mbambo, and freshman McCallum Rowe all dominated the 1500 meter. Zarikowski came in first, followed closely by Mbambo and Rowe, claiming fourth. Redshirt senior Ryan James placed second in the 2,000 meter steeplechase, setting a new program record. Junior Dylan Service and senior Bryson Peter both placed in the top 10 in the 800 meter. As for the women's team, freshman Nevaeh Davis led the team in sprints, finishing fifth in the 100 meter. Junior Jenna Webb took third place in the 800 meter. Junior Olabisi Adams had a great showing in the long jump, taking second place with a mark of 5.79 meters. The team will continue their season this weekend, heading to North Carolina to compete in the Raleigh Relays.
The water polo team looked to continue their winning streak as they traveled to Virginia to compete against VMI and Iona. In the matchup against VMI, the Explorers quickly found their rhythm with back-to-back goals from senior Castilla Heim. The blue and gold kept their cadets scoreless while tallying two more goals to end out the first period 4-0. LaSalle continued to maintain a 4-goal lead through the second and added a 2-0 lead to bring their score to 8-2 going into the second half. The cadets made a few attempts to recover their stamina in the third period, but the Explorers were able to recover each time in the fourth. In the fourth, LaSalle was able to break open the scoring with 6 more goals while holding VMI to 3 and claiming a 17-6 victory. Next up, they faced Iona. This matchup was a lot closer, and LaSalle was able to pull ahead by 1 point to end the first frame 4-3. In the third, LaSalle was able to put up a 4-goal effort, only to be answered back by Iona, who took a 13-10 lead into the fourth period. The blue and gold managed to get back in the groove, and they held the Gales to a single goal while dominating on the offensive side. The Explorers ended out the match 15-14 to continue their winning reign. Heim was able to score the team-high 5 goals to lead the blue and gold in both victories.
The women's golf team opened up their spring season in Nevada, participating in the Jackrabbit Invitational at the Boulder Creek Golf Club. Hannah Basso recorded the top score for the Explorers, scoring 246 with a plus 30. She shot her best round on Monday, heading into the final day with a second round score of 78, and finishing with a final round of 85. Kaylee Zeman followed up with a score of 263 with a plus 47. After shooting her worst score in the opening round, she improved over the next 2 rounds, recording a team-high 5 birdies throughout the entire tournament. Grace Hickey scored her lowest round on the final day, carding an 83 in the third round, cutting 10 strokes off of her previous tournament best.
The lacrosse team traveled to New York to face Siena College last weekend. The match began at LaSalle's favor as fifth-year senior Emily Johnston wasted no time by the net, giving LaSalle the lead with just under 2 minutes into the game. The Saints were able to gain control for the rest of the period, gaining traction over the blue and gold and scoring 4 goals to bring their score to a 4-1 lead into the second. Johnston persisted, scoring 3 of the next 4 goals to tighten the score deficit to 1. After 2 back-to-back goals from Siena, Johnson scored her 5th of the game to bring the halftime score to 7-5. In the third, each team accumulated 7 shots, with Siena holding the edge in goals 3-2. Freshman Maddie Henderson led the offense in the quarter, scoring 2 goals to give her 7 total on the season. Johnson stayed tenacious in the fourth, scoring 2 more to bring her game total to 7 and cut the Siena lead to 11-9. Despite strong individual efforts, the Saints won the final draw control and were able to hold off the Explorers for the remaining of the time, defeating the Explorers 11-9.
Okay, women's water polo had an insane run of games. Their results, as we heard, were absolutely amazing. So honestly, big shout out to the women's water polo team. I don't feel like we talk about them quite as much, but I mean, with results like that against really tough competition, you know, it's really great to see that they're able to get such convincing wins. And obviously track and field. I mean, I feel like we're just a broken record at this point, but great showing in the track events, great showing in the field events. men's team has done well. I'm really surprised, though, that on the women's side, we didn't hear a lot from the Mancini sisters, because usually, you know, they're breaking records or doing something amazing that we talk about, but still a great showing at the Penn Challenge, and we're definitely going to be looking out to see how they do with the Raleigh relays. It's going to be interesting how track kind of keeps their energy up, because they finish up Raleigh on the 26th, and then the 26th is also when some of them will head out to Austin, Texas for the Texas relay. I don't know the exact name of it, but they're going to be in Texas, so it's going to be interesting how they keep their energy up for such a close stretch of games, or, you know, meets.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, too, for the women's water polo team is just the amount of traveling that they've done to keep winning. I mean, they were in California last week and won those 2 matches, and then we're in Virginia this week and won those 2 matches. It's really impressive to be traveling this much and to keep winning. As you said, the track team is also doing really well. I expect that they'll keep doing well in Austin. And hopefully they'll have some more matches that are also local. It'd be nice to have those teams come back after doing all this early traveling.
Yeah, and lacrosse is also doing, you know, pretty well. They didn't have the best results that they would have wanted, but it's still promising displays. It's still close games. You know, it's not like they're getting completely destroyed by these other teams, so that's a really promising thing to do as well. Also, just shout out women's golf, because Libby, we miss you, so I'm excited to keep talking about that too. But honestly, our spring sports are getting off to a really strong start. It's very early in the season, so any kind of not ideal results, you kind of want to take that with a grain of salt, because they're still getting into the season, getting into gameplay, you know, mode. So I think it's a very promising start for all of our teams.
You know, I 100% agree. And that's the really weird thing about the spring is, especially the outdoor sports, you never know what type of weather you're going to get. You can get some really nice days that are like in the 70s, and then you get some like days like today where it's like 55 and raining.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to be able to tell, especially like track and field. Sometimes you have indoor events, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other sports as well, lacrosse, you just need to get through this hard part, and then it will get a little bit better for them.
Yeah, and of course we'll be here to keep you updated on the rest of those seasons. And that's it for recaps. But when we come back, we're here to deliver you the hottest of all hot takes. Stay tuned.
All right, you're in bumper.
Extinction is forever. To save America's most iconic and imperiled species from extinction, we must fight for their future. Fight to save the natural lands that wildlife call home. Fight to limit pollution. Fight for smart development. Fight for their future. And fight for ours. For so goes nature, so goes us.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back. It's everyone's favorite segment, besides my interviews, of course. Aidan and I are coming at you with our spicy opinions on the current state of LaSalle athletics. So the first one that I wanted to talk about does have to do with Ashley Howard And he was fired after this season, but in my opinion, I think he should have been fired after last season. He has not had a winning season in his entire tenure at LaSalle. The best he's done is a 15-15, like we saw earlier in top 3. So I just think when you are a D1 basketball coach, especially at such a storied basketball school like LaSalle, Ashley Howard was supposed to be this amazing recruiter. He was supposed to bring in all this talent, and we really have not seen that. And the numbers speak for themselves, and the fact that this team still doesn't have an identity. We're one of the big 5 schools. We are a basketball school, more or less, and we still don't have our own identity. I just think that kind of coaching is unacceptable, and to have that be allowed for 4 seasons for a D1 program, and one that LaSalle puts a lot of money in, we'll get to that in a minute. I just don't think that that's acceptable, quite honestly.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially the fact that he came from Villanova, was expected to, if not make it to the tournament, at least compete in the Atlantic 10, and that's just something that did not happen.
One Atlantic 10 win.
Yeah.
In 4 seasons.
Yeah, in the tournament, yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely disappointing. Going off of that, to save LaSalle money, I think they should actually move conferences to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, the MAAC. It's a conference that is much more local than the Atlantic 10. Obviously, the Atlantic 10, you have to do a lot of traveling to St. Louis and back, and you also have Loyola Chicago that's going to be joining the Atlantic 10. So it's now 2 teams that are going to be you're going to have to fly to. You're going to have to fly back multiple times. The Metro Atlantic, the farthest that you have to travel is Fairfield, which is in Connecticut. That's an easy 5-hour drive. It's much closer teams than what you're going to be dealing with the Atlantic 10. And it's a little bit less competitive. I mean, obviously you have St. Peter's, who's in that conference, making a huge run in the tournament. But besides that, you're going to have a much better chance to compete. And I think that to take their place, Iona, who has Rick Pitino as their coach, should join the A10.
Yeah, and since LaSalle wants to save money, especially with how they cut programs earlier, I think that so much money needs to stop being funneled into the basketball program, because guess what? No amount of money is going to give us better players. I hate to say it. We play in essentially a high school gym. I mean, I hate to say it, they've done all they could to make it look good. It's a high school gym. Bunch of players are in the transfer portal, which goes to show that the athletes don't want to stay and try to fight and build this program, because honestly, with basketball, that's where all the money goes. And I understand basketball is the money maker. That's one of the big programs. But at the same time, you have soccer and lacrosse have to share a field. Track does not have an indoor facility. Aidan, you were saying that at D3 schools, they have an indoor facility and they don't here. Just so many other teams don't have the facilities, the equipment, the funding that they need, because all of the attention gets focused on basketball, and basketball doesn't even do well. It's one thing if basketball is doing well, and they're not. So I just don't think that putting in all of that money is quite justified until we start seeing results from basketball, because you see track gets results, water polo gets results, women's soccer gets results, the men's soccer in a rebuild. I think they're going to get results this fall. So I just don't think the money should be going where the results aren't matching the funding that's being put in.
The other thing, too, that I'm going to go off of that, they should bring back more club sports, I think.
Yes.
This is something that would bring a lot more of your student body. And yes, it might not bring in money the same way basketball would, but you have students that are going to be interested in other sports. One of the sports that they used to have here that they don't, I would love if they brought it back, is rugby.
Yes.
That is a sport that you get at least 23 guys, you get a 7s team, and it gives you some national exposure. St. Joe's has one of the best rugby programs in the country, and it's one of the sports that is talked about a lot on their campus. If we brought that back to LaSalle, you would get a lot more people that would be like, hey, I could play rugby here, I could also get a really good education. I could do all this stuff that you don't necessarily hear of as a student. So I think bringing back club sports would be huge for LaSalle.
I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because like I said in my teaser, I just spent the last 6 days working a club hockey tournament in Westchester. When I tell you, fan support at that tournament was insane. You're playing teams from different states. We had Florida, North Carolina, we had a bunch of New England teams too, and people showed out. People were just insanely dedicated to these sports. The guys' passion for the sports was amazing. So I think that if there was more attention paid to our club sports, I absolutely agree with you, Aidan. That would be just really, really great for LaSalle.
Yeah, no, for sure. My last one I have, it's more of a wish rather than a hot take. I think that the women's team will make the NCAA tournament in the next 2 years. Wow. I know that they are losing 3 seniors this year, but they're still going to bring Claire Jacobs back, who has over 1,000 points. They've got a really young team as well. I feel like they can build off of that success. They've done really well in the regular season. I know that they didn't have a great postseason success, but this is one team that I think is going to be really strong and you could bring back into the tournament. I would love to see it. I hope it happens.
I hope it happens too, because our women's team has definitely been on the come up since Mountain McGilvery joined. We have the Jacobs sisters. They're only losing 2 seniors this season, and one of those is Kayla Spurl, Erin Morgan, and Kayla Spurl has had the season of her life. So it's going to be a pretty big loss to see her go, but with the talent they have, especially the young talent that they have, I could absolutely see them going to the NCAA tournament. One team that I don't see going to the NCAA tournament is the men's team, and no, I don't think that there is one single coach that's going to fix the program the way that they wanted to. LaSalle wants so badly to fix this program overnight, but with players in the transfer portal and with the fact that they still don't have an identity, they don't know how they want to play, one head coach in 1 or 2 seasons is not going to fix that. And that's okay. No one is expecting it to be fixed overnight, but I think the athletics department, in this desperate bid to be Villanova or be even St. Joe's, Temple, whoever, they want to be on that competitive level with those schools, and we're just not there yet, and there's no patience, and I just think that that's ultimately gonna, bite them in the behind. But I understand that that's what they want to be. They're impatient. We haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 2013. Happy 9 years of the Southwest Philly floater, by the way. But yeah, I don't think that they're going about this the right way. I guess we'll have to see who they bring in and what the plan is for that. But I just don't think it's going to happen in our tenure here. And we're going to take another quick break. But when we come back, we'll give you the upcoming games for the week and our Explorer Report for Game of the Week. Love hot take.
Using meth taught me everything about freedom, only not like you think. It taught me how easy it is to lose your freedom, how meth can take control until you find yourself doing whatever meth tells you to do. Before you get there, while you still can, take a stand for yourself. If you feel yourself losing your freedom to meth, ask for help. Accept the help. It's worth it. You have the power to be truly free and be the person you want to be. I know. I'm Jan, and I'm free from meth.
If you or someone you know is struggling with meth, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential treatment referral. Learn more at samhsa.gov/meth.
People join Walk MS to raise awareness and funds that change the world for everyone affected by multiple sclerosis. MS attacks the brain and spinal cord. It's the most common neurological disease leading to disability in young adults. Walk MS brings communities together, creating teams with friends, loved ones, and coworkers to rally around those we care about and end MS forever. Join us. Together we are stronger. Walk MS fundraising accelerates research breakthroughs and life-changing breakthroughs. It will take all of our passion, determination, and fundraising to end MS forever. Together, we can change the world for people with MS. Join us. Register today, start a team, and raise funds at walkms.org.
Welcome back. Here are the upcoming sporting events that you should look out for. Lacrosse will open A10 play on Friday against Richmond. Lax will be back at it again at McCarthy on Sunday, March 27th against Virginia Commonwealth University. Water polo will travel to New York for a 4-game road trip with games against LIU, St. Francis, Siena, and Marist.
Women's golf will compete in the Spring Mill Invitational on Thursday, March 31st. Meanwhile, track and field will travel to North Carolina to participate in the Raleigh relays from March 24th to March 26th. Then, on March 26th, track will head down to Austin to compete in the Texas relays.
Now, here's our Explorer Report for Game of the Week. This Saturday, March 26, water polo will take on conference rival LIU as they continue their MAAC schedule. After an up-and-down start to their season, water polo has found their footing and have rattled off 12 straight wins going into the matchup. This streak has come in no small part to the play of grad student Kalista Hyam. Hyam has led a high-powered LaSalle attack with 67 goals on the season, while also chipping in 18 assists. However, the offense isn't a one-person show with 7 different explorers, 40 or more points on the season. On the other end of the pool, junior Emma Gersich has held up on the defensive end. The 2-time Defensive Player of the Week has a 50% save rate going along with 168 recorded saves.
LIU hasn't been a slouch either, entering with just 4 losses on the season, 3 coming from nationally ranked teams. They have been carried by sophomore Paola Dominguez. She has 60 points this season with 54 goals and 6 assists. The Sharks have already dropped a game to the Explorers, but since then they've beaten number 23rd ranked CSUN.
Now we have our picks for this game. I'm going to go with LaSalle, 12 straight wins. Kalista Hyam has 67 goals, 18 assists. I really don't think that that's anything to, sniff at. Obviously, LIU has been good too, but I really think that LaSalle is going to be able to take this one.
After our hot takes, a little bit picking on LaSalle athletics a little bit, I'm going to go with some good vibes. I'm going to pick LaSalle to win this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just water polo has been on a great run lately. They've already won a game against LIU, and I just really think that 12 straight wins is going to be motivation for any team to do well, and especially against a conference rival. Kalista Hyam has been insane. Emma Gersich has been insane. So I just really feel good about their chances. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be another 17-6 win, but all you need is one goal to get that win, and I definitely think that the women are capable of that.
Yeah, and I also think after that tough win against Iona, that's going to give them a little bit more momentum as well. You had a blowout in Virginia. You also had, like I said, the close win. So I think both those games, you get a better feeling about where you're headed into this next game. I think you can use both those games as motivation to do a little bit better than you did in each one, find a few mistakes to fix up, and then figure out a way to win.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be looking forward to that matchup, but that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Explorer Report, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com. You can also check out the digital edition of the Collegian, which now features SportsLine content.
Also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV and on Instagram at SportsLineLTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there. This weekend's poll: who should be the next coach for men's college basketball team? Adam Sandler or Tyler Small? Or Angus the Bulldog?
I love Adam Sandler. I love Tyler Small, but honestly, I'd like to see Angus there. Yeah, okay, so
Angus too.
Angus, get on that. Can Dan from Athletics interview Angus? I think he'd be a good pick. And for our entire SportsLine team, I'm Siobhan Nolan.
And I'm Aidan Tuksinski. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the game.